Hello, my friends! I'm attempting to use one of these new plates from the Maniology Box of Gloom on some long stilettos here, or I guess they're medium. Just gonna see what I can do, and the way that I pick these colors, I'm gonna put them in the description, but I basically looked through the elements that I want to use here. So I have some pumpkins, some frogs, some mushrooms and ghosts and cats and stuff. So I've got some like red for the mushrooms, and then orange for the pumpkins, green for the frogs, kind of a purple for the background, white for the ghosts, and then I have some grays here for the cat and maybe some background. And what I've just done is picked like a light, middle, and a like main value for my colors here. So I want to do a little shading. So we've got like highlights and then the midtones and the shadows essentially. So you know how it is, I might kind of mix this up and I may or may not use all of these, but that's what I'm starting with. So I've got a white base down here, and I'm just going to use this sponge to put down sort of a purpley background. I'm going to go light to dark on the bottom, just so any of the elements that I'm using will stand out a little bit more on a lighter background. But nothing elevates the look of some nails like an ombre. Make sure you're overlapping your colors a little bit. Just give it a little squeeze to soak in that polish. I like to kind of dab it, do whatever you like. And then I'll do it again, but just working from the other side. I was kind of thinking of using one of these sort of shifty ones to put like a little pattern. Let me see how this goes. And don't forget, because this is squishy, you can always like sort of bend the image and pull it if it's not fitting. This is subtle enough that it's not going to matter, but you can always stretch your image a little bit as you're stamping. All right, setting that aside, this is M617. I haven't even peeled it yet. Honestly, I'm kind of scared of frogs and amphibians in general, so I hadn't used this plate yet from the box, even though I did all the unboxings, and I think I used all the other ones so far. But this was sort of my least favorite, dare I say. I'm going to use Delerium for my outlines because I've got this purple base. This is a really dark purpley, so I think that'll be nice for my outlines here. But I was also thinking it might be cool to add this guy in the background on maybe each of them, I don't know. But let me start off with some reverse stamping, and then we'll see how it goes. So I was thinking of putting these larger images on each nail, and then maybe a smaller one. So let's see here. Start with the ghosts. I kind of thought because these are these Amanita mushrooms, it might be cute to do the ghosts instead of white, like make them red with the white spots. I found this very interesting mushroom in my yard a couple days ago called beefsteak polypore, and I had never seen it in person before, but I made like a little vegan carpaccio with it because you can actually eat it raw, and it looks just like meat. It's so crazy, right? I'll show a picture of it. It doesn't have a lot of flavor on its own. It's kind of citrusy, but that was fun. Okay, I've got some like, this is so tiny. I've got some regular ghosts down here. I'm gonna do white. They're very small. I probably can't even see them. I'm thinking I'm just gonna make these other ones kind of like white and gray. So I'm gonna take my white here, and I'm going to just kind of follow this edge and add some of these little highlight kind of things here. These are in the shadow of the mushrooms, so I'm basically just gonna keep the highlights at a minimum here. So this isn't perfect, but I'm trying to just imagine where the light would be hitting and then putting my lightest color there. So now I'm going to use some of this red. These are kind of similar, actually. I might be wasting my time here doing these different colors, but that's okay. This one's kind of lighter. Rather than pulling a new color, I'm going to mix a little bit of this with this orange to make kind of a mushroomy stem color. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Oh, I think I'm missing a spot on this cat. It's cool. I am going to add this little tree doodad in the back with the crows and stuff. But actually, I think I will add a little bit of glitter. I think this will actually look better if I use this bottom color for my tree here. It'll make it look a lot more cohesive. That is still a little bit wet, so let's move on to another critter here. I think I'll start with the pumpkins. I like doing the pumpkins. Personally, I like to start with the highlight and then add the shadow and then fill in the whole thing with the mid-tone, I guess. I guess I'm doing the cat in gray. I'm not sure exactly how to tackle this. Regardless of the shading I'm doing, I like to do the faces just the lighter color so the features stand out. I think I will make these flowers like a kind of red and orange just to kind of tie together the mushrooms I have here and the pumpkin. So let me lay down a couple of these together. So I'll do like kind of a center there. And then I'll introduce a little more red. And then for the ghosts, I'm going to just add a little bit of this sort of gray, kind of along the bottoms here. I've been doing a lot of gardening in real life lately, which is not something I usually do. But if you are new here, we are getting our deck replaced from when it was destroyed in Hurricane Helene last year. So it's taken us an entire year to get it started, but it should be done in a few weeks, and it's looking so good. But one side of it is going to be screen porch, which I'm so looking forward to. And then the other side, we have a big space where I'm going to put a little greenhouse, like just a lightweight one, not like a big glass one or anything. But I've been prepping a ton of like seeds and stuff, and I'm also just trying to beautify the garden. I mean, it's October, so it's not like, you know, I'm going to be getting a ton of flowers, but I'm just trying to establish things now, both for the greenhouse and then for next year to be in the flower beds, like such as the columbines and the echinacea that need like a cold snap or something in order for the seeds to germinate. I don't know. I don't know a lot about gardening, which is why I haven't really done it in the past, but I've been using ChatGPT to help me with like all of it, and it's just been really cool to like, well, I don't know if you've used it, you know, but yeah, it's just awesome to be able to communicate, like to talk back and forth and get feedback on like where I should put things and when. And anyway, so that's what I've been doing lately. This is still kind of wet, so I'm going to take this opportunity to stamp my little mushroom ghosts. So yeah, this manicure is actually kind of relevant because I've been harvesting the mushrooms and then I'm doing the flowers. So yeah, this actually kind of fits in with my real life. And then additionally so because, again, if you're new here, I started my training for being a death doula, and I'm halfway done with it. That's why I haven't been around, just so you know. I've just been super busy. But yeah, I guess the ghosts here are sort of relevant as well. Didn't plan on that, but it worked out. I'm gonna add these again, but I'm gonna like, I kind of want them to look a little bit different. So maybe I'll stamp like up above there. And this should be dry, so I'm going to put it right there. I kind of wish I double stamped like a white outline behind them, but it is a little late for that. If I were to do this again, or if you're trying to recreate this, I would go back and pick this stamp up in white, stamp it down, and then put my reverse stamped image on top of that. So there's like a little white kind of highlight around. I think that would have looked much better. But yeah, I'll add this next tree. Or the frogs, rather. Frogs and pumpkins, whatever. Alright, so I think I'm going to start with their chest being kind of a different color. I think that would look a little more natural. This is also kind of metallic, which is nice. The highlights in the eyes, I don't want to forget. Creepy. I'm going to add just a couple little white spots on these mushrooms here. And I'm adding pumpkin highlights here. Pumpkin shadow, which means I'm going to go underneath this frog here. Just a little. And also on the bottom. And our main color. So obviously I can't talk about the doula program too much, but yeah, it's been mostly a good experience. Like I said, I'm only halfway through. There's a lot of us in the group. There were 31 of us, which I just think is too many, honestly. So yeah, it was a lot. I'm not a very like social person, and it was kind of overwhelming to be around just that many people, like new people especially. So that was kind of my biggest challenge, and I'm honestly just like not the most like emotional person. So I don't know. I didn't like a lot of the first week. Basically, we have 2 weeks of training, but people came from all over the country, and so there was a week where we were all together, and then the people who were out of town just took this last week, to do their bedside turns. That's where they're actually interacting with the residents and learning about kind of more of the business side and the hands-on side of what the kind of position entails. So the people that were local are starting this coming week. So we kind of had a week off, but we had a lady who's staying with us from the program, and I'm so glad she did. We have a nice guest room, and so she was great. I really wish she could have just stayed forever, to be honest with you. So it was really nice to have her, but that meant that like I was kind of like I was over there every single day. Like I drove her over there, and happy to do that. But I've been over there every day for the last 2 weeks, and now I have one more week. I mean, luckily I love it over there, so it's no problem. But yeah, I feel like I haven't really had a break. And the first week was mainly focused on us, and a lot of it, I guess they're just trying to make sure you're not bringing a lot of your own like trauma and stuff into the space. So like we had one day was basically just like a big grief ceremony, and we had an altar. We brought stuff from people that had passed or just whatever ancestors, and then people kind of like process their grief through talking and music and all kind of stuff, and that went on for like 6 hours. It was a lot. I suppose one of the other reasons for that was not to just express our grief, but to witness other people's grief, because that's mostly what we're going to be doing, I think, is being with the families of the deceased, or the people who are in transition. So anyway, that for me was the most taxing, was just sort of being around a lot of people who are doing all kind of interesting things. Everyone does things in their own way. And then we had a little thing where we did some anointing. So basically I partnered up with the woman staying with us, and we basically took turns being dead. And we did an exercise that was really cool, where we took 20 different cards and wrote different things, that were important to us, people and objects and ideas and beliefs and activities and things like that. And then we had to discard them. We kind of went through a simulation that we had been diagnosed with a rare disease, and then we had to get rid of all those things. And for me that was easy, but yeah, it was was a lot of crying that day. But then we each laid as if we had passed, and then we did an anointing ceremony with the person who was dead. So we got to experience that from both sides. So yeah, it was pretty cool. But that was mostly the first week. Okay, boy, I wish the cat really blends in here. Herg. Should have made the cat like orange or something too. I'm loving how these frogs came out though. Like this is kind of my favorite one so far. It's too bad that a lot of this is gonna go off the side. I almost want to just redo this. I mean, honestly, that does fit over there really well. I think this is crazy, but I think I'm gonna stamp on top of this cat. Should I? Yeah, I'm gonna do it. It's got this little ghost there poking through, but that's actually kind of perfect. I really like that. Okay, so that means I have to redo this one. Okay, I'm gonna do this frog on this pumpkin, I think. Then I'll do like maybe this witch one above it, so there'll be 2 elements instead of one big one. All right, I'm just gonna breeze through this so you don't have to watch the whole thing again. All right, let me put this right there. Uh-oh. My nail doesn't want to stick on here. I think putting this one on here is a little too crowded. So I will put my birds down a little further. And then this can fly up here. This is from last year's box, but I want to use some tiny little bats, I think, just to fill out over here. Look, these long nails, I don't know. I just don't like to have a lot of empty floating space, but let me see how it looks. Yeah, okay, I think it's good. And then I'm adding some more on the other nails. Just to continue that. And the other thing I want to do, I think, is add a little embellishment to the tips. Let me see what I have. This is also from last year. I think these little, where are they? These little spider webs will be cute. Cool. All right, I'm happy with that. Now I just need to top coat them. I went and did some gardening and let these dry pretty good so I can do a gel top coat. Watch the magic. Here is our completed toadstool, stiletto Halloween manicure using the Maniology Box of Gloom and some other Maniology plates from previous Halloween boxes. So I'm really happy with how the pumpkins turned out, especially those are so fun to do. And I think the colors of the frogs look really cute too. And these like really interesting mushroom cats kind of tie it all together. I think they're really fun. They were fun to make. I hope you enjoyed watching or following along with me. I don't know if you do that or not, but I'd love to know. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And that's all I have for you today, my friends. So until next time.
Hello, my friends, I'm glad you stopped